Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We've officially wrapped up our first month of baseball, March and April. I guess you can count that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going through it quickly here. The Yankees and Baltimore. Baltimore ended up taking three of four there. They won the last game today. Kansas City versus Toronto. Kansas City ended up taking two of three. Minnesota swept the White Sox. No surprise there. We knew that they were gonna end up losing again, but I guess Blake didn't. He took the loss on that one.
That was a closer series than expected though. All right.
And then Cleveland and Houston actually is the last game playing right now. We are
Yeah.
recording this a little prematurely. They're tied 1-1. It's 0-0, bottom of the third as we're recording this. So
Yeah.
we don't have the outcome for that one yet. But go ahead and go over the National League.
Yeah, Miami swept the Colorado Rockies 3-0. Kind of a weird series for the Cubs and Mets. A lot of blown opportunities for the Cubs in extra innings. They ended up splitting that series. The Dodgers took two of three from Arizona, and San Diego ended up taking two of three from Cincinnati. Yeah, why don't you go over the interleague?
Yeah, in the interleague, the Phillies took on the Angels and ended up winning a two of three in Anaheim. Then St. Louis went into Detroit. Detroit ended up taking two of three there. Seattle taking two of three from Atlanta. That
Yeah.
was actually a pretty good series, but Seattle's pitching's just been unreal. They're
Yeah.
just not giving up runs at starting pitching. So,
Yeah.
and then in Oakland, Oakland ended up sweeping Pittsburgh. We both took Pittsburgh to win this series. Oakland's hot right now. Hats off to them. Mason Miller, if he comes in the ninth inning, they're gonna win the game. That's basically where we're at right now. So, Tampa versus Milwaukee, there was a little bit of emotions out there. There was a brawl, kind
Yep.
of.
Yep.
It was a decent
Punches
one.
throwing.
Yeah, some suspensions in that one, but in the end, Milwaukee took two of three. San Francisco went into Boston, and Boston ended up taking two of three in Fenway. And then Texas took two of three at home against Washington. My weekly record right now, without Cleveland, Houston being done, is 9-4-1. Blake is 8-5-1. So if Houston wins, we tie the week. If Cleveland wins, I gain two series. I am coming in quick. I uh I was down like 15 series at one point. So currently, if Cleveland wins, I'm six series back now. My season record is 75, 58, and 14, and Blake's is 84, 51, and 12. Um, yeah, you got anything to add
Bounce
before we?
back week for me. I went 5-10 last week. That was a tough week. Um yeah, some weird outcomes. Like I don't think anybody predicted Oakland to sweep, maybe get one out of three, not sweep. And then yeah, that can't think of the word here. Cubs and Mets game today was insane. Like they got thrown out at the plate twice in extras. Just kind of wild running into outs late in the game, late in the inning there. But yeah, let's go over the games this week.
Yeah, first off, we have the Angels heading into Cleveland to take on the Guardians. It's going to be Jose Soriano versus Tanner Bybee, Reed Detmers versus Ben Lively, and Griffin Canning versus Carlos Carrasco. As everybody knows by now, Mike Trout is going to be out a long time.
Yeah.
This Angels team is young. They haven't played well, especially of late. Cleveland's one of the hottest teams in the league. I'm going to go ahead and take Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cleveland too. Not much really more to add than what you just said. Yeah, it's gonna be some tough times for the Angels moving forward.
Next up, we have Seattle going to Houston to play the Astros. It's going to be George Kirby versus Ronel Blanco, Logan Gilbert versus Framber Valdez, and Bryce Miller versus Hunter Brown. Interesting matchup here.
Yep.
Houston obviously has got off to an awful start, but they're facing Seattle, who's first in the West. If Houston somehow found a way to maybe sweep this series, they're right back in it. The West has played pretty poorly up to this point,
Yeah.
but Seattle's starting pitching has been really elite. I mean, it's been pretty much the best in the game outside of the Red Sox for most of April. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take Seattle solely off of that what that starting pitching has been doing.
I'm gonna go Houston here. They might burn me here, but I really like the pitching matchups. I feel like if Houston can scratch across some runs here, the pitching is good enough to win this series. So Obviously some question marks there with Hunter Brown against Bryce Miller there in that third game, but I like my chances with Ronald Blanco and Framber Valdez in this series as well. So yeah, this series could go either way for sure.
Then we have Boston going into Minnesota. It's going to be Tanner Houck versus Chris Paddock, to be determined versus Pablo Lopez, and Cooper Criswell versus Joe Ryan. The Twins have won 10 in a row.
Yep.
Boston's still been playing pretty good baseball. They did just beat the Giants.
Yep.
Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan's a difference maker for me in this one.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and go with Minnesota in this series.
Yeah, I'm going to go Minnesota as well. Obviously, Tanner Houck's off to a great start this year. He's kind of been electric to watch, but I'm going to take Minnesota. They're riding high right now, and I think they're going to maybe sweep this series.
And then we have Detroit heading into New York to play the Yankees. The Yankees did just lose 3-4 to the O's, so I expect them to bounce back in this one, but it's going to be Reese Olson versus Marcus Stroman, Casey Mize versus Clark Schmidt, and Tariq Skubal versus Nestor Cortez. Like I said, I expect the Yankees to bounce back. They are at home. Skubal's going to be tough in game three. If
Yeah.
Detroit can sneak game one or two,
Yeah.
there's a good chance we might get this pick wrong.
Right.
I am going to go with the Yankees, though. Yankees is my pick.
I'm going to go to the Yankees too. They're at home as well. Skubal is going to be a tough out though. Even like a guy like Reese Olson hasn't been, he's kind of got touched up a little bit, but he hasn't been terrible. And then Casey Mize is kind of just been whatever. But yeah, I would expect them to bounce back as well.
Rounding up the American League, we have Texas heading into Kansas City to play the Royals. It'll be Michael Lorenzen versus Brady Singer, Dane Dunning versus Michael Waka, and John Gray versus to be determined. I'm going to go ahead and take Kansas City. Texas has pretty much been a 500 ball club up until this point. Sometimes their offense is hot.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not scoring many runs. Kansas City's been a little bit more consistent.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and go with KC at home. And, their starting pitching has been keeping them, I wouldn't say even afloat. They've dominated
Yeah.
for them to be in a nice position heading into May. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
with Kansas City.
Seth Lugo has been a really nice bright spot for them. Not really much people expected that good of a start to the season for him, but I'm going to go Texas here. Texas has got the flashier names offensively. Obviously, Kansas City is more of a younger nucleus. Yeah, this could be a really good series. There's a lot of good pitching matchups in this one. Be interesting to see what happens. I'll go Texas. So
Heading to the National League, we have Milwaukee versus the Cubs at Wrigley. It'll be Joe Ross versus Hayden Wiesenski, Tobias Myers versus Jameson Taillon, and Bryce Wilson versus Javier Assad. And don't forget, it'll be the Brewers versus Craig Counsell for the first time since
yes,
leaving.
yep,
It'll be in Wrigley, like I said. The Cubs, if they would have took 3 or 4 from the Mets today, I might have leaned their way. They've been playing better baseball than Milwaukee of late,
yeah,
but Milwaukee's been the more consistent team. I'm gonna go ahead and go Milwaukee's way just because it seems like every time these two teams match up, Milwaukee kind of has their way. But that was in the past, and we'll see what happens
yeah.
in
Obviously,
2024.
no Cody Bellinger in the middle of that Cubs lineup is a huge hole, right? He's out with that broken rib, so that's a big loss for that lineup. Yeah, they kind of kicked themselves in the foot this past series against the Mets. Like they easily could have won 3 or 4. They kind of beat themselves a little bit. I'm gonna take the Cubs to bounce back. They're at home. I think it's gonna be a good series.
Next up, we have the Colorado Rockies heading into Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. It'll be Cal Quantrill versus Martin Perez, Austin Gomber versus Jared Jones, and Ryan Feltner versus Bailey Falter. I'm gonna go ahead and take Pittsburgh on this one, but they have been a roller coaster in 2024. It
They
has
have.
been really bad. It's been really good, but Colorado's just been all bad.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm gonna go. All right, Pittsburgh, we're back on the horse here. And I'm going with you guys just because Colorado's that bad.
I'm gonna take Pittsburgh as well. I'm super excited to watch Jared Jones pitch. He's electric to watch. Really big fan of him. And Martin Perez has had a nice little start for them too.
Yep. Then we have a 4-game series between San Francisco and Philly. It is going to be in Citizens Bank. It'll be Jordan Hicks versus Aaron Nola, Keaton Wynn versus Ranger Suarez, Logan Webb versus Taijuan Walker, and to be determined versus Christopher Sanchez. Realistically, as all 4 game series usually. Could be a split here.
Yeah.
But Philly's been playing pretty good baseball. I mean, the Angels, they just came to town, so I watched them. The Angels had a chance to win all 3 games, so that's a little discouraging. But San Francisco is just not winning ball games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, um, I am going to stick with Philly. I think they're the more talented roster.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, they're going to have to deal with Logan Webb, but he just got banged up from the Red Sox. So I'm going to go with Philly, take three or
It's
four, but I wouldn't be surprised for a split.
Yeah, I'll go with Philly as well. It's gonna be tough for Philly though. You got to face Hicks, Wynn, Webb. Like that's three of their top guys, right? But San Fran just can't score runs right now, and that's kind of the issue. It's the same thing with the Blue Jays, right? You don't score runs, you ain't gonna win many games. So I'm gonna take Philly's offense over San Fran's offense, and I think they get it done.
Next up, we have the San Diego Padres heading into Arizona to take on the D-backs. It'll be Dylan Cease versus Salde Sassoni. Sorry if I got that wrong. I've never seen that guy's name in my life. Michael King versus Brandon Pfaadt, and Matt Waldron versus Ryan Nelson. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Padres. They're coming off of a series that they just beat Cincinnati. I thought they were gonna lose to Cincinnati, but they're kind of in that middle ground, right? They look like a really good team at times. At other times, they're not pitching it well, and they're getting behind in ball games a lot.
Yeah.
With that said, the D-backs have had a tough schedule in April. They just did play the Dodgers. They walked off in game two, that B game.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with San Diego. I just think they've been playing better baseball, and Arizona just hasn't got it going yet.
Yeah, you might think that I'm a San Diego Padres fan with how much I've been picking these guys, but I'm gonna switch it up this week. I'm gonna go with Arizona. You gotta get Corbin Carroll going, man. You have to get that guy going. He's the igniter of that whole offense, and kind of when he goes, the offense goes type thing. So once he gets going, I think this team will take off offensively. But yeah, it's gonna be tough with you have to face Michael King and Dylan Cease in this series too. So I'll take Arizona though. It'll be a good series.
Next up, we have Atlanta heading into LA to play the Dodgers.
Mm,
This has to be the best series there is this weekend.
yeah,
On paper, it's going to be Charlie Morton versus Gavin Stone, Bryce Elder versus Tyler Glasnow, and Max Fried versus James Paxton. Truthfully, Atlanta's been playing better baseball than the Dodgers, but the Dodgers have gotten hotter as of late.
yeah.
They are at home. My gut is telling me to take Atlanta, but my brain is saying take the Dodgers. So I'm gonna go with the Dodgers at home in this one, but I think it's gonna be, there may be a blowout in here, or maybe there just might just be tight games. I'm very interested to see how this one shakes out. I'm gonna go with the Dodgers, but mainly because of them being at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Atlanta here. I like the pitching matchup over the Dodgers. You don't have to face Yamamoto in this series, which is a big plus because he's been really good. Other than that one start in Korea, he's bounced back really nicely and kind of solidified himself to have a good first season in the MLB. But yeah, I like the pitching matchups in this one for Atlanta. And who knows? It could be a slugfest. Like this is gonna score. These teams are gonna score a lot of runs, I feel.
With that note, I wouldn't sleep on James Paxton. I mean,
Yeah,
James Paxton
he's been
has like
good.
a sub 3 ERA to start the season.
Yeah,
Tyler Glasnow's been one of the better pitchers in the league. So
yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying you're liking the better pitching matchups. I'll give you the Charlie Morton over Gavin Stone, but even Charlie Morton will tell you he hasn't been pitching his best lately.
yeah,
So we'll
yeah,
see what happens. But
yeah,
heading into the interleague, it'll be Baltimore heading into Cincinnati. This is another really good series.
yeah.
Cole Irvin versus Hunter Green, John Means versus Andrew Abbott, and Dean Kramer versus Nick Lodolo. That's right. You saw John Means is making his debut for
Yeah,
the O's
it's awesome.
on Saturday. So they just got Bradish back. They're getting John Means. They have Corbin Burns. Now the O's go. We'll see what happens. But Cincinnati, they're a team that's like a spark plug team, and,
Yep,
and they're more like a light switch.
yep.
Sometimes they're on,
It's
sometimes they're
vibes.
off.
It's vibes.
Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, and they really go as far as Ellie De La Cruz. That's the vibe that I've gotten through April. So,
Yep,
um, I'm gonna go with Baltimore just because they are coming off 3 or 4 from the Yankees. Vibes are high, like you were just talking about.
yep.
And yeah, even though on paper I love Hunter Green and I love Nick Lodolo, I'm kind of leaning towards the Baltimore's pitching in this one. So
Yeah.
it is in Cincinnati though. Balls may fly. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna take
It's
Baltimore though.
I'll take Baltimore too. This is Means had Tommy John, correct?
No, that was before.
Okay, that
He
was
had Tommy
before.
John before. I'm not
Okay,
sure what he's coming off of right
yeah.
now.
I knew he had Tommy John, wasn't sure. But yeah, this is gonna be a really good. Obviously, it's big for Cincinnati to miss Corbin Burns. This could be a really low scoring game in terms of pitching matchups, but yeah, we'll see what happens here. I'll take Baltimore.
Next up, we have Toronto heading into Washington. It'll be Yusei Kikuchi versus Patrick Corbin, Kevin Gausman versus Jake Irvin, and to be determined versus Mackenzie Gore. I'm gonna take the Blue Jays. I really didn't want to be honest with you. But after a little further research, Washington hasn't played that well in their own ballpark. Um, and ultimately, Gosman and Kikuchi is better than Patrick Corbin and Jake Irvin.
At to be
Now,
determined, that's gonna be Alek Manoah. He's gonna be starting that game.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. What I was about to say. It might
Yeah,
be Alek Manoah versus Mackenzie Gore.
yeah.
Now, if Washington takes one of the first two games, there's a pretty good chance that Washington's winning the series because Toronto can't score runs. So,
No, Toronto cannot
um,
score runs, and I honestly hesitate to take the Blue Jays here. It's just been dog like god awful. Manoah probably is going to make that start. He's coming off of a 12 strikeout performance, his last AAA start. So like we'll see what happens there. But I mean it works out nice for the Jays that he has that performance right when Yair Rodriguez goes in the IL. So I guess that kind of fell into place for them. It was going to take an injury to get Manoah back in the majors. So I'll take the Jays, but honestly, like if they get swept in this series, their season might be over. It might be over already anyway. So like, I don't know. This team is just so frustrating to watch. I like it's been tough.
all right, Mini Frank. Anyways, here we go. It'll be the Mets at Tampa. It's going to be Jose Quintana versus Aaron Savali, Sean Manaea versus Ryan Pepio, and Mike Soroka versus Tyler Alexander. I'm going to take the Mets in this one. Tampa Bay's been playing pretty bad baseball. Not really like the fundamentally bad. It's just they haven't scored runs. They
Yeah.
haven't pitched to Tampa Bay's, what we're used to them doing. And then the Mets, they took 2 of 2 this week. They've been playing better baseball of late. Really, it came down to um, Jose Quintana for me. Jose Quintana's been pitching really, really well.
Yeah.
So I could see the Mets taking 2 of 3 here. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Mets.
Yeah, Mets have been pitching it better as of late. Luis Severino took a no-hitter in I think it was the sixth or the seventh inning his last start. Obviously not starting in this series, but it's been a nice surprise for the Mets to kind of get that guy bounce it back and back to his old self. I'm gonna take the Mets here as well. Um, Coming off a series like I just mentioned where they probably deserved to better, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just realized there's a typo on our thing. It's not gonna be Mike Soroka, though. He's definitely on the White Sox. So I'm not
Oh,
uh I'm not sure who that is in game 3. Maybe it is Severino, but
it might be okay.
that it would line up that way. But yeah, regardless, whoever's pitching against this Tampa Bay lineup, I feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the White Sox heading into St. Louis. It'll be Brad Keller versus Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty versus Lance Lynn, and Garrett Crochet versus to be determined. I'm gonna go ahead and take St. Louis in this one. Um, it's the White Sox. They're not a good
Yeah,
baseball team.
I
So
tried to sneak one by with taking the White Sox last week. Not gonna do that again. I'm gonna take the Cardinals in this one.
perfect. And lastly, it'll be Miami heading into Oakland. It'll be Ryan Weathers versus JP Sears, Trevor Rogers versus Paul Blackburn, and Sixto Sanchez versus Joe Boyle. Joe Boyle looked really good his last outing.
Same
I'm gonna
with
go ahead and take
Sanchez too.
Oakland.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Oakland. The vibes are high. They're winning ball games, and last shot in Oakland right here. Let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and take Oakland.
I'll take Oakland as well. We can't talk more about the back end of that bullpen. It's pretty gross. Sixto Sanchez had a really good outing his last time out, so that was nice to see. But Paul Blackburn's had a really good start to the season as well. So I'll take Oakland here too.
Alrighty. That's going to wrap it up for this week. In review, I have Cleveland, Seattle, Minnesota, New York, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Philly, San Diego, LA, Baltimore, Toronto, New York Mets, St. Louis, and Oakland. And Blake has Cleveland, Houston, Minnesota, New York, Texas, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Philly, Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, Toronto, the Mets, St. Louis, and Oakland. That's going to do it for this one. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. As always, we appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.